Hey, welcome back to the Gunpla Network. I'm Murdoch, and we're going to do an in-depth look at the high-grade Bollenoak Samaan. But first, it's time for a segue to our sponsor. Sponsor for this review is none other than Canadian Gundam. Looking for that next kit or tool to complete your collection? Canadian Gundam's got you covered. With a vast selection of Gunpla, Plamo kits, paints, and tools, you're sure to find what you're looking for. And then, you have their flat rate shipping across North America and private warehouse options. But wait, there's more. Take advantage of the discount code Gunpla Network for 10% off your entire order at checkout. Okay, so building on the lore dump I made for the Masala, here's what the Bollenoak Samaan brings to the table. The PMX-002 Bollenoak Samaan is yet another of the mobile suits Scirocco designed and built personally on the Jupitris. It was built with a seek and destroy purpose in mind, which kind of explains its rather intimidating silhouette, crazy thrust pack, and its kind of limited weapon selection. What sets it apart from its contemporaries is its head, however. That radome is what gives it both its cool disco ball effect and some advanced detection and targeting features. Sarah Zabierov would ultimately be its only pilot during the Grips conflict, who used herself as a shield for Paptimus Scirocco's sake, and unfortunately dying by Kotz's hand. But that's neither here nor there. The Bollenoak Samaan really only has the beam guns and the 3-tube rocket launchers in its pauldrons for ranged equipment, and the bulk of its carried armaments are stored in its pincer shield, with the Swiss Army knife of beam weapons, a pair of beam guns / beam sabers / beam tomahawks. From personal observations, having the majority of your arsenal stored all in the same spot is more of a tactical liability, but who am I kidding? Just go and watch the last 8 episodes of Zeta. You'll find I'm right. Alright, so right off the bat, I'll put the disclaimer out that the pincer shield is dense and heavy enough that it will throw the model's center of gravity off if you have it off its feet, and sometimes that's still not enough to keep it upright. So balancing this kit and however you pose it is a consideration to have. As far as articulation goes, it's got lots of parts on ball joints and hinged peg slots, but because of its somewhat awkward proportions, it really kind of gets in its own way. In terms of the splits, it can maybe do about 130 degrees or so before the armor gets in the way. The ankles have extremely limited rotation, although there is some, and the feet have a tarsal joint in them, so you can at least point them down. Moving on to the knees, they are double jointed and will net you a little better than 90-degree bends. The torso has realistic wiggle range on the waist and can absolutely hunch over. The backpack is a little too massive to allow for much more than that, however. As for the head, or heads in this case, as you can pick and choose which one you want to use, I likely have the disco ball on at just about all times. The neck can travel forward from upright so that you can really leverage the model's size to look down on smaller, more standard machines, or fire that radome straight ahead. Take your pick. As for the arms, they have a similar setup to the refreshed high-grade Cubile in that they're peg slot joints connected with polycaps. But given the amount of articulation needed so that the great big shield can work around the even bigger backpack and those big blocky shoulders, it's kind of a given. While the pincer shield itself is removable, its mounting setup underneath is not worth exposing. Thus, figuring out poses that don't mess with the center of gravity too much become important. The pauldrons each have these little insert rocket pod covers that swing out, but more frequently just pop off. They barely stay in if they're not covering their spots. Last but not least, the backpack. This thing is big, it hides the ends of the power cables, and everything that sticks out can be wiggled and turned and directed a little bit, all to help with that dynamic posing. As for the extras, as I mentioned in the unboxing, you get runners for Sazabi's Beam Tomahawk effect parts. But alas, the cool long Beam-Axe parts won't mount. You also get two heads, as I mentioned earlier, one with the radome turned off and the other, the effect, on. Pretty easy to tell which one I intend to display the model with. You also get three hands, a holding fist for both left and right, and an expressive left hand. Building this kit was pretty fast once I got started. The only part that was a touch tricky in this case was the heads, since there's some layering and stickers that are nigh impossible to replicate the effects involved. That being said, if you're a stickler for minute details for accuracy, the rest of the yellow color correcting stickers are going to be a pain. They're all tiny. In terms of shelf presence, well, between its gorilla-like proportions and its bright minty green color scheme, unless you have a bunch of standard model Jagans surrounding it, it should stick out in a crowd, or look right at home with other Titans machines, or intimidating AUG machines. So, for my final thoughts on this guy, absolute must-have if you're completing your Zeta collection, because the weird and wacky machines from this series and Double Zeta are just worth it for the pure variety that they are. Until next time, I'm Murdoch, and on behalf of the Gunpla Network, keep building.